watching Leaders Speakeasy with me, Luqman Haris.
And me, Rozina Aziz.
My co-anchor is, of course, Rozina, the co-founder and CEO of Metamorphosa, a former news, media and corporate woman who now mentors, coaches, trains and consults global leaders and entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Luqman. Today we will have a conversation on leading retail in turbulent times. First, an introduction on our guest.
Datuk Ameer Ali Mydin has never always known he'll be an entrepreneur, graduating with a bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of Western Michigan, a master's degree in international business from Sonoma State University, and a doctorate in business administration from University Tun Abdul Razak. He went on to build a banking career with Arab Malaysian Merchant Bank in the 1980s. And there he stayed for 8 years, rising through the ranks to a managerial level. But it was in 1989 that the 3-decade-old family business called for its prodigal son to return. Since then, Ameer has never looked back, and nor has the Mydin brand. Starting with the monumental task of finally branching the family business out from the East Coast to Klang Valley in '89, Mydin under Ameer's leadership now has 66 outlets to date. But with the pandemic, the weak economy, disrupted supply chain and stiff competition, how does he now lead retail in turbulent times?
Datuk Ameer, welcome to Leaders Speakeasy with Luqman and Rozina. We look forward to our conversation with you today. How are you, Datuk?
Fine, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Datuk, we'll kick off by discussing your leadership mantra. You were a banker for the best part of a decade, rising to the managerial ranks in the industry. You reportedly had no interest in taking over the family business back then, yet you ultimately left banking to follow your father's footsteps into entrepreneurship, a family-owned one. So what was the turning point for your change of heart, and what drove that decision?
You know, the turning point, I think nobody really knows. I can tell you, I think the first time telling people, actually was integrity. What happened is that I was working in a bank, and I was, you know, people tend to think that decisions, the final decisions at the board, no doubt about it. But the recommendation of the manager is the most important, because it's very difficult for the board to override a manager's recommendation. So what happened is that I was asked to submit a paper and recommend a particular loan, which I was not in favor of. So I said no, and I put a note there, not recommended. And that evening, of course, that paper was thrown on my face. So I really knew that I didn't think I would have much promotion prospect in where I was working. That was the first part. And of course, the second was my father. He was telling me that, you know what, you're working all your life. Don't you want to do something on your own? So that may be a better option. Taking both into account, I finally decided to open up a shop in Jalan Masjid, India.
So your father was your mentor. As a boy, you watched and learned from him on trips to deliver goods by bus along East Coast, and you absorbed skills and values from him, and he eventually entrusted you to handle customers and stocks in store. So you had what we would term as an entrepreneur's upbringing. So from a leadership perspective, in what ways do you consider yourself similar to your father, and how are you different? And what do you most enjoy about your father's leadership?
You know, I think we are both the same and different. Seriously, many people say that I'm beginning to look like my father as he was getting older and older. You know, I think we have very similarity in terms of the facial, you know, the whatever. But I think the most important thing was that when I was with him, of course, I was going out with him. He was showing me the ropes of business. He was asking me to go and collect money from people who had not paid him money. This is a lesson to learn. To give a loan is very easy, but to collect money is very, very difficult. So this is where you learn small things on how to deal with your customers, very important. Of course, integrity has always been the core of my father's thing. The only differences I can see is that he tends to be a very quiet person with a sense of humor, of course, but more quiet, less outgoing, more soft-spoken, and I think I tend to be more aggressive. Maybe it's with current times, like you have to be more on the media and those kind of things.
Right, Dato', over the last 2 years, of course, your business, especially non-essentials, the non-essentials category and hypermarkets, was of course affected by pandemic measures, the economy, inflation, and also competition. Your staff had to adopt new, challenging ways of working and risk exposure to COVID-19 as frontliners. At a time when companies are forced to cut down on jobs, let alone give out increments or bonuses, how did you motivate them amidst intense business pressure and competition?
You know, I think COVID has been a tough for the whole world, seriously, you know. And it's not only out there, but Mydin also had a massive issues with COVID, especially with our stores opening, closing. And I think it was more so during the initial period, you know, when we really didn't understand COVID. And tremendous pressure on why, and from the staff also, tutup lah kedai, you know, why are we opening the shop? We are putting ourselves at risk. So here is what leadership is all about, you know. You really have to be on the ground, on the floor. I think if you remember, initially the main thing was people above 60, please stay home. I'm above 60, my brother's above 60, but all of us, every day, every morning, we were in our store to give them the moral support that we are behind you. I think that is very important, one. Number two, you know, we did not fire anybody, so there was this support that, you know, a lot of people were giving retrenchment notices. We never fired anybody, but we also never hired anybody, so that, you know, so that we don't have to burden ourselves with extra costs. So this was the most important thing. We didn't fire, we didn't cut anyone's salary, but what it was that we said, oh, you know what, there's a cash flow issue here. We give 50% of your salary now. The 50%, 1 year later over, say, a 2-year installment, something like that. So we save our cash flow. And you know what? Only one staff of the 6,000 staff did not agree. So we had such support from our staff. And I think anything, that is the most important thing, that people support, the staff support you, and of course your customers support you.
Dato', in the next segment, we want to understand your leadership challenges and strategies at a time when the retail industry underwent turbulence in a global and local economy threatened by the pandemic. Rosie.
Mydin is Malaysians' go-to place for affordable goods, and economically your customers, the lower and middle income groups, suffered due to the pandemic. Your business model centers around high sales volume, razor-thin margins. You had to weather multiple MCOs, disruptions in supply chain, increase in goods and operational costs, along with the fall in jobs generally, and a fall in customer household incomes. So being at the helm of Mydin, what are the challenges you had to prioritize to operate this business model and keep prices lower than your competitors amidst rising costs?
You know, this is something that all of us went through. I would say that basically what we did is to be competitive. I wouldn't say to be lower than our competitor, because that was not possible. I think the crucial thing at this time was availability of goods on the shelf. That was the most crucial thing. The second is to ensure that we comply SOP so that our customers feel confident to come to our store. Because the confidence level was so low at that time, people were refusing to go out. And it was not only affecting us, but it was affecting the country's economy. And we were so adamant that we were trying to get people to come, to make people come. We even have special lanes for senior citizens, because, you know, we want them to come and go out as fast as possible. Imagine we are telling our customers, please come and go. This is the only time when the businessman tells the customer, please go out, please go out. You know, and every time we want our customers to stay with us as long as we want, but this was the thing. But, you know, basically perseverance, making customer understand, prices going up. I mean, if the price go up, we also have to bring it up. I mean, there's nothing much we can do about it, you know. But I think end of the day, we persevere, follow SOPs. We still are following SOPs. It's still tough out there. But the main thing is that you have confidence in yourself, confidence in the leadership, and I think all of us can do it. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Now, the troubles that the middle class is facing, Dato', now is exacerbated by the rising prices of food recently. So what are your thoughts on how the government is handling the food price increase and supply chain disruptions? What would you have them do better at the moment?
you love to put me in the hot soup, Luqman. You see, government, I think there are two parts to this, all right? First, prices are going up. It is a global issue, and I think we should not blame government. For example, CPO prices are going up, so cooking oil prices are going up. A lot of things are going up because basically commodities in the world are going up, right? So generally there is a 10 to 15% price increase for food and non-food. And there's limited thing what the government can do. But there's something the government should be doing, must do, and is not doing. I'll be very open about it. For example, chicken. I mean, it's out there every day, chicken prices are going up. We, Mydin, or for that matter, some of my colleagues in the retail industry have been asking for AP to import chicken. I now can tell you, if you allow me to import AP, I will sell 50%, 50 cents cheaper than the price control the government is giving it. Now, there's a price control, but there's no goods in the market. We have 50% shortage of chicken. That's one thing. Number two, this AP thing has to go. You need AP to import cabbage. This has to go. Government has to give more land for people to grow vegetables. Okay, Cameron Highland is a beautiful place, but it's overdeveloped. It's only one highland that we have. Now, if we continue giving it, then there's not much place left for us to do this. I think these are big challenges, and the main thing here is government should never try to control prices. Open up, just like the test kit. People were selling at $34. I begged the minister, and finally, of course, they listened. But KK was adamant at that time, no. But finally, I think they agreed. They allow us to sell the test kit. Imagine that $34 test kit is being sold at $4.80 at Mydin, and many of my other colleagues are doing the same thing. We are very competitive. Do not control prices. Let us be competitive. Let us fight among ourselves, and prices will definitely go down.
Right, Dato', before we go for a short break, just another short one from me. So as we know, Mydin is a family business, and studies have suggested that family businesses often run into challenging territory with the third generation. We are curious if you agree with these findings. Briefly, in terms of leadership and decision making, what is the key strength of a family business operating within the family, and what is the downside? Because sometimes families tend to get personal, and it's business.
It is tough. I think the main thing when you have a family business is first you must agree on one leader. That leader makes the decision, the family must follow. What we call it, we have our own cabinet meeting, with only family in there. So where key decisions are being made. And we meet every Wednesday at 2 to 4 o'clock. So that at least within the family, we are synced together. So outside when we go out, we all agree. Number two, most important is, you just take a salary. Everything else, the company does not pay for. If I'm traveling somewhere, and then if my wife wants to follow, for example, I have to pay for her ticket. I have my leave. I just cannot take off. I have an MC, which I haven't taken for years, I think, because I never claimed. And everything else. So I think it is very important here. It's very transparent. Don't say, it's my shop. Why should I pay for this? You shouldn't. You treat yourself as an employee, okay? Even your children are coming in, let them work outside first. I think this is very crucial. My nephews and whatnot, they work 5 years, 7 years outside before they join Mydin. So then they have the respect of the staff. I think this is important. Very next and most important thing is the soft skills. I hope the people in the family need to develop soft skills, because to deal with customers, to deal with staff, soft skill is an essential part of leadership.
Right, Dato', we'll go for a short break. Leaders Speakeasy with Luqman and Rozina will be right back with Datuk Ameer Ali Mydin, the Managing Director of Mydin Mohamed Holdings Berhad. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Leaders Speakeasy with Luqman and Rozina, in conversation with Datuk Ameer Ali Mydin, the Managing Director of Mydin Mohamed Holdings Berhad.
Datuk Ameer, going from current to future business focus, Mydin aims to be the world's leading distributor of competitive halal goods in line with the country's aspirations to be a global halal hub. We are interested to understand the right time for you to embark on this ambition, as well as the plan and strategies you have put in place to branch out overseas perhaps and capture the halal market on a regional or even global scale.
You know, I think the most important thing is that the halal part, you know, we are very focused, and I think everybody knows that we only sell halal product in Mydin. I think that's the first part. I think the second part, when you mentioned about going international, there are many ways of going international, all right? But with the current environment that you see that things are going online and you don't really have to open stores to be international. We actually have many customers, even now, because Mydin is known being halal, they come and buy from us for export. Can you believe people buy from us because they know it's halal, especially our Jakim halal, and our goods are being exported to Pakistan, to India, even to Hong Kong, and sometimes even to China, but from Malaysia and from the Mydin store. You see, because now with online, you know, with the current method of doing business, we probably might not want to open stores outside for the next 5 years. And I think it's very important for us to make sure that in business, for that matter, seriously, your piling has to be really, really strong. You know, at home, just like when you're playing a football game, right? You always have a home advantage. You go out, you have more challenges than you can take into account, because there are more bigger players out there whom could have more experience and have been there longer. So to us, Mydin now focus locally, but because local is already global, we're already there, seriously.
You've spoken about empowering SMEs and playing a role in helping them grow. The timing seems right, especially as SMEs have struggled throughout the pandemic, and some are still struggling to this day. And Malaysians who lost their jobs, for example, are forced into entrepreneurship out of need. Furthermore, this seems to tie in with your global halal distributorship ambition. Tell us what initiatives and plans you have in place to support and empower the entrepreneurial community and also SMEs.
You know, I think this is a one time that many of us are given the opportunity to actually do a reset. Because you know, sometimes we are really in business. Although we're making losses, we say, let me try. But you know, this is a reset. If you've been doing something for the last 5-10 years and that particular business is not successful, this could be the right time for you to actually shut it down. And not saying use COVID as an excuse, but you know what? You might want to open another location, but the location could not be available or something like that. But now a lot of places are available. You know, this is the time, seriously, it's time to expand. Because you know what? Your competitors are also weak. You could be a bit weak, but your competitors could be weaker. So this is time to really, really catch up. And I hope the government is listening, because you know, this is the time where the government can use these empty spaces available in key shopping centers to kind of give more opportunities, maybe to the smaller traders, to the SMEs who did not have the opportunity, were never given opportunities, obviously, by the bigger shopping centers. This is the way to do it. The main thing here is, you know what, persevere, take up this opportunity. You have learned your lessons, because you could have been bloating up. You know, you might not have, you have not done cost cutting, but this last 2 years, all of us have slimmed down. You know, not only physically, seriously, but emotionally. You know, we have learned a lot of things. Cost cutting has been, you know, last time it was so difficult to do cost cutting, but people understand now what is cost cutting all about. So I think even Mydin itself is very slim, you know, in terms of cost. This is the right time to do it, and we are here to support the SMEs, of course.
So Datuk has spoken about perseverance, you know, being cost conscious and going for the opportunities. I think there's a lot more that entrepreneurs would like to share and learn, would like to learn from your own experience and know-how over the 3 decades. So if you look at successful entrepreneurs, what would you say is or are the best predictors of success, and what is the most common mistake for entrepreneurs to avoid?
You know, I think to be successful is always the same thing. Number one, seriously, you just really have to work hard. You know, I mean, there's no easy money. You know, sometimes you read somebody become a millionaire, now billionaire, whatever, within few years. Yes, there's only one or two lucky guys out there. But most of us, whether it's Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, you know, look at their age now. I mean, they're all also old now. You know, so they have worked all their life, and finally they're up there. So there's no such thing as a quick thing that you can say, be rich. So first, let's not think about being rich quickly. Okay, work hard with honesty, with integrity, with perseverance. I think this is the main thing. And mistakes, you know what? All of us make mistakes. Don't worry about the mistakes. You know, you learn from your mistakes. Make sure that you don't ponder over your mistakes too long. This is the major issues with business people or even individuals. They tend to ponder too much. I made a mistake. Maybe I should not. You made a mistake, learn from it, and please go ahead. Because if you're not going to make aggressive decisions, bold decisions, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to grow.
Yeah. Speaking of which, entrepreneurs must make bold decisions that others may even see as crazy. Your decision to open Mydin's Jalan Masjid India branch back in 1989 proved to be a pivotal point for the company finally getting out of its comfort zone in the East Coast after 30 years in business. But initially, your late father did not approve of this move. He was wary of expanding too fast and urged prudence in spending. Now, this is a dilemma facing many entrepreneurs today, Dato. Your advice to entrepreneurs, when do you know is the right time to expand or even change or pivot your business?
You know, my father was a very conservative businessman, seriously. But maybe during that time, being conservative was the thing to be. I think because of the upbringing of how he was brought up. You know, he just didn't want to borrow from banks. You know, my father does not even own a car, a property, or even a bicycle for that matter. But that was him. That was him. He said, why? You know, just work hard, you'll be okay. But that was him, okay? Times have changed. And to me, for us to grow, what we need to do is, the most important thing is you have to acquire assets. Very important. You have to acquire assets. Because banks are going to ask for assets, you know, when you want to borrow money. Don't borrow too much too early in your life. You know, it's better you grow slowly with your own money, friends' money. My father always said, never borrow from your friend, because it's very, very, you know, you lose friendship when you borrow from friends, okay? But you need family, friends to support you. I think the initial part is very important. Of course, the most important thing is don't try to grow too fast, you know. Naik tangga jangan berlari. So if you go slowly, inshallah, you will learn lessons by it. And you know, this is the truth about it, and I always say this. It is better to take the staircase up than to take the lift. Because if the lift spoils, you go all the way down very fast, okay? If you take the steps up, it's slow and steady, and you would know your ability. You know, if you're on the second floor and you can't move on, then you stop. Your heart is not strong enough. You got to work out more. Then you move on. I think this is important.
Right, Dato, that wraps up our segment on empowering local entrepreneurs and the community. Rosie?
So, Datuk Ameer, we will now move on to the more relaxed, quick-fire questions. So, for each question, there's like, you're given 20 seconds to answer each one.
Right. This is kind of the surprise element, but these are very light questions for you to, non-business questions, don't worry. So, in this segment, our viewers will get the rare chance to get you up close and personal. Rosie, take it away.
So, Datuk, what is the one thing that nobody knows about you till today?
I think I'm an open book. Seriously, an open book. I think everybody should know almost everything about me, you know. But I'm sure people do not know, except my wife, that I snore a lot.
That's an interesting one. That's a good answer. Yeah. All right, you gave a football analogy earlier. You are also a football fan. So let me just give you this question. Liverpool or Manchester United?
Neither. Arsenal.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Always be loyal. You know, whatever it is, be loyal. It doesn't matter when you are down, when you are done, when you are at the top, persevere. I know they're number 6. They were once number 2, you know, but I'm always there with you, Arsenal.
Speaking of the top, Rosie.
Okay, so Luqman, you stole my question. Anyway, Datuk Ameer, what is your go-to comfort food?
Go through.
Go-to comfort food. So if you need comfort food, what would you?
What would you have?
Yeah, what would
Comfort food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roti canai and teh tarik. You know, I mean, that is Malaysian comfort
old
food.
School, old school,
You
yeah.
know, many times, you know, I quietly go to a restaurant down there. I mean, I call it me time. People say it's me time. You know, I just sit down there, have a nice roti canai with a slow teh tarik and sit down for half an hour. You know, it is very important for people to have me time. I think now more people talk about it, you know, meditation or spend time to yourself. You know, one thing you can always do to yourself is that at least spend 5 to 10 minutes of a daily time. Just sit by yourself, breathe in and breathe out.
Okay.
And feel the breathing. I think it's very good to calm you. We are so with gadgets the whole day, you know, that I think our brain doesn't stop working. And this is also very dangerous for your life.
Right. So we have a minute left, Rosie. Can I take this one very quickly, Dato'? They say it is lonely at the top. That's the famous quote for leaders. Does this resonate with you and why?
Unfortunately, the quote is correct. You know, to be a leader, to be up there, you have to be firm with many people. You cannot be a leader and say, I'm going to be friends with everybody. You know, you have to be firm, you have to be tough, but please do it with your heart and think through your brain, think through your head, I always say, but please decide with your heart because your heart never fails you.
Dato', thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Datuk Ameer Ali Mydin, Managing Director of Mydin Mohamed Holdings Berhad, for sharing his experience and strategies in leading a retail group in a turbulent global economy, as well as his perspective on empowering and supporting the community, entrepreneurs, and also SMEs.
So be sure to join us on Leaders Speakeasy with Luqman and Rozina for conversations on leadership as the country and the world strive to bounce back after the pandemic.
Wishing you the very best in your career, business and leadership journey. Stay safe, stay resilient. We'll see you later.